everyone, this is Podcast for Class. I'm your host, Kate Stepanuk, and hopefully my audio class is the audience. Content, people, and money are the three keywords of today's episode. To find out what's the fourth one, stay tuned and listen to the entire episode. Since today we're talking about duties and responsibilities of a radio programmer, I feel like it's important to mention that a good programmer can create an experience that shuffle can't. Great things never come into existence without hard work and professionalism. There is an artist behind every drawing. I can't stay with my arms crossed and hope my podcast starts writing the script and recording it all by itself. No way. If I were to do that, then you wouldn't get to listen to a podcast for class on a weekly basis. Okay, if you're wondering where I'm going with this, then here's my explanation. I need to follow a detailed plan when it comes to executing my podcast. To get a better insight into this plan, please listen to episode 10 of Podcast for Class, where I discuss the pre-production podcast steps. A radio programmer is mostly working behind the scene. They create the mood for those of us that have a long drive to work every morning. When hiring a radio programmer, experience is key. There are a lot of jobs and responsibilities that fall on the programmer's shoulders. And I think it's safe to divide them into three categories: content, people, and money. So let's take them in order. A program director, or PD for short, is responsible for everything that is aired. He or she establishes programming and format policy. The PD develops promotions and does a lot of research to make sure they are ahead of their competitors. To say the least, if things don't run as they should, then he or she is responsible for it. But quite frankly, probably the most important duty of the programmer in terms of content is to adjust programming to the lifestyle activities of the target audience. This is key, guys. Because if the station doesn't play the 80s music, for instance, the target audience might migrate to the station that does. In terms of people, a programmer hires and supervises on-air music and production personnel. The radio station is going to be as strong as its people will. As such, it's important for the programmer to choose people that understand the vision and goals of the station. Otherwise, there might be a bad match. That's why maintaining a good positive atmosphere among the colleagues is just crucial. And again, this falls under the PD's duties. Finally, in terms of money, a programmer should also have budgeting skills. Since a PD's effectiveness is measured by ratings in large markets and by sales in smaller markets, he or she is responsible to always grow the station's audience. The programmer is always looking for potential businesses interested in buying airtime or in advertising slots during busy hours. If the programmer wants to protect the station from huge fines, he or she must ensure that the station adheres to all FCC regulations pertaining to programming practices. Since indecent programming has resulted in huge fines in the past, a smart programmer anticipates problems before they occur. And now, if you let me, I'd like to add a final and fourth component that ties these three categories together: professionalism, and I have it written in caps. We are back to this incredibly significant quality again. When a programmer approaches their job with professionalism, the station will grow and maintain a good reputation. When a programmer treats his people with respect and professionalism, they won't leave and migrate to a different station that makes them feel more appreciated. And finally, when a programmer approaches budget and finances with professionalism, there will always be businesses interested to buy airtime. Today, I'll end this episode without a conclusion. I think it's time for you to draw your own conclusions and decide how professional you've been this semester. If there are things for you to change, please start the change right away. Just like a programmer's professionalism brings success to a radio station, so does a student's professionalism in an audio class. So here's this week's assignment. Try to talk to a radio programmer and find out what is their most favorite part of the job. When they're done talking about that, ask them what they dread most in terms of their duties. If you can't find a radio programmer, talk to anyone that's ever worked for a radio station. This was Kate Stepanuk with Podcast for Class. I look forward to having you as my audience again next week when we'll talk about a subject of your choice. So let's run a poll.